This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West Podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
Welcome back to the Hockeytown West Podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Travis.
And we are without Nick for this episode, unfortunately, which is really weird to say. I think this is the first one he's ever missed. He's okay. He just has to work. We got big boy responsibilities to deal with too, unfortunately. I wish we could just, focus our whole life around hockey, but we can't. But with that, man, it is Thursday when we're recording this. It's Toledo Thursday. It'll be Fish Friday, whatever the heck we want to call it. But we are just over midway through a crazy first round of the ECHL playoffs. Before we dive into that, how you doing?
I'm good, man. It's was a long day at work, but we got through her. A lot of driving back and forth between two villages, so that was my day.
I'm so sick of seeing a windshield right now over this last week. I am so sick of it because not only did I, like we talked about in the last episode, did I make the trip to Toledo on Saturday. We went to Saginaw on Tuesday to watch Game 7 there. I was in Kalamazoo for Game 3 for the Walleye last night, and I was in Lansing for work today. So I am really sick of driving, and guess what? I'm going right back to Kalamazoo tomorrow for Game 4. So it's not over yet.
Only, 45 minutes? It's not 2.5 hours?
Yeah, but that 2.5 hour drive to Toledo is worth it. It's so worth it. Like, being there, I told you this was going to happen when we went to the Griffins game on Sunday. I was like, I'm going to be bored.
You texted me too. You texted me middle of the game. You're like, yeah, I'm bored.
Like the environment in the Huntington Center in the playoffs, you all weren't kidding when you said it gets taken to a new level. That was a whole new level.
Yeah, it was crazy, wasn't it? It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
It's a lot of fun, but not only that, like you guys were incredible down there. Like you guys took care of me. All the people you introduced me to, like it was just a genuine good time. Like everyone was fantastic, so welcoming. It's really hard not to feel like a Walleye fan when you're in that building.
Yeah, it's a big family environment, especially that section I sit in, and even some of the other people that I know. It's like one huge family, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of, and just to be there and be around, 8,000 of your friends it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot better than 2,000 in Kalamazoo. Anyways, let's jump into this, man. Let's start recapping. Let's start with Game 1. Game 1 happened last Friday, and it was a wild one. So the quick rundown is Toledo won this in overtime. They won this 3-2. It was a hard-fought battle up and down the ice between Kalamazoo and Toledo. But what you'll see is a trend in this series so far. Kalamazoo came out hot. Well, I guess no team really came out hot. They came out even in the first period. Second period, though, McDonald gets goal 1 and 2 in this game. One of those on the power play there. That was kind of crazy. And then followed up with Riley Sawchuk getting goals 1 and 2 for the Walleye to tie the game. So really weird how this was working already. Both goalies were definitely being tested, and it was interesting. You were there that game. What was the feeling like in the arena when Kalamazoo goes up by 2 like that?
I don't know. I don't want to say deflated because we've seen so many comebacks this year, and you just kind of have that. It's not over. This team can score. Once they get one, it's just like, okay. And I even said to Kels, they scored the first goal, and I was like, all right, we're back in it here. I was like, we needed that next goal bad after they scored the second one. And then they get the second one, and it's like, all right, now we're rolling. And you could just feel the energy and the momentum just shifting, right? Because I thought the first period, honestly, the first half of the game, I thought Kalamazoo carried most of the play. I mean, it was 0-0, but it felt like the puck was on our end a lot. And, they came out physical, which Toledo, as we both know, not a very big team, but they didn't back down from it, which was good to see. They were throwing the body around too. And then obviously Kalamazoo goes up 2-0, and you're starting to, you could kind of be like, oh man, the first one was like, oh, redirection, or it might have been the second one, but oh well, stuff happens. And then they get the second one, and it's just like, uh-oh. But it wasn't like we're doomed. I think everybody knew if we can get the next goal, we'll be fine, and it ultimately happened.
Yeah, going to overtime 2 minutes into this game, 2 minutes into overtime. Who else but Brandon Hawkins diving to an puck that ended up next to Vorva in the wide open space there and just taps it in.
Yeah.
For the OT winner. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we had talked during the intermission of third period overtime, like, who do you think is going to score? And you're like, podcast bump, it's going to be Brandon Hawkins. And honestly, that feed by Lewandowski to find him in the slot like that, great look. And I mean, he put it through Vorva. I mean, it was behind him, but it definitely wasn't going in the net. Like, he had to he put the effort. I mean, he went full Superman and just dove and poked her in, and it went crazy. Everybody's going nuts. And then they're like, it's under review. And I was like, oh no. I was like, don't do this to us. And one of my other buddies is like, why is this under review? He wasn't at the game. And he's like, there's nothing to review. And I'm like, well, they don't show replays at the Huntington Center, so I can't see what's going on. So it's like, what's going on? And then, like, obviously, like, in real time at the game, we get it's a goal, and then the place is going crazy again. So it was like just a big party, but it was huge to get that first game.
It was. They needed that against Kalamazoo after how the regular season had gone. Getting this win, even though it was a tough, difficult win in overtime where, yes, you look at the beginning of the game, Kalamazoo definitely carried, but as soon as Toledo got the puck in the net, they definitely took over. I mean, out shooting Kalamazoo 40-27 in this game. In that 2-minute span of overtime, had 6 shots on goal. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like once they got the second goal that they were going to win the game. I mean, it just, especially the third period too, like, because we were getting outshot heavily in the first 2 periods, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, this totally did a 180. And then, like you said, right off the bat in overtime, it's just pepper in the goaltender. It's like, can one just go in, please? Because I said to a bunch of people around us, I said, this is either going to go like 2 or 3 minutes, or it's going to go 2 or 3 hours. And I'm really hoping it's only 2 minutes.
Yeah, we all were. It was cool to see that. I mean, we talk about Hawk getting that goal and assist in that game, +2, 14 shots on goal for Brandon Hawkins alone. He wasn't kidding when we interviewed him when he said, if there's an inch, I'm going to take the shot. Like, he will shoot it from anywhere. Doesn't matter if the opportunity's there. And the craziest part is 90% of them end up on goal.
Yeah.
Like, that's the crazy part.
Credit to the fans too, right? Like, they got that building, the energy going, and I think that's like literally having an extra player on the ice to them guys. And 5 fish hit the ice that night. It's like, oh geez. People just kept coming out of the Zamboni entrance to pick up walleye. I'm like, oh boy, these guys are for a long night.
Yeah, that was I wish I could have seen that, honestly, in person, but still, I'm glad I got to see what I got to see. But to finish off this game, John Letherman got the start in this one, stopped 25 of 27. Hunter Vorva, obviously, at the other end, stopped 37 of 40. Another good game from him. He's not a bad goaltender by any means necessary. There, he's really good. He gave Toledo quite a difficult night right there in that. So shout out to him, I guess. That's the only bump Kalamazoo will get from me there. But
honestly, I thought Letherman looked really good, and I think it was the right decision to start him in the first game, just to get that veteran experience, and maybe for Bednar to see it firsthand. Like how a guy that's played a lot of playoff games at a professional level handle being in that kind of environment, seeing it firsthand, and we were all wondering, right? And there was like a huddle of us standing there in our section. We were like, who's coming out first? Who's going to be the goaltender? And it was Johnny. I think it was the right decision for game 1.
Yeah, I mean, with that environment, like, that building is insane. So, like, get Bednar on the bench for that game. Let him absorb it from there. Let him observe and see what's going to happen and understand the pace of play in the playoffs, because it's a different animal. You could really see in this game and through the rest of the series so far, though, how much of an impact Jacob Graves is making on this team.
Yeah.
But the physicality, like, he doesn't have to go out there and be a menace. He doesn't have to go out there and be a jerk. But, like, you can tell that teams are less likely to start picking on you when that monster's on the bench right there.
Yeah, and we talked about that in our preview, right? About his impact in this series and what that could do. And he's been very important.
Yeah, it was noticed right away in game 1, dealing with good old Chaz Redicop. Has to be a tough guy, and your first name is Chaz, bro. Like, God. Anyways, before I get off too, I'm still stuck in Kalamazoo mode from last night. On to game 2 and Saturday, which was great to see in person. I'm so glad you all convinced me to make that trip. Well worth every second, especially because, like Hawk said, it's a cheap way to get NHL-like experience. And I don't think there's much in the NHL that even comes to how that environment felt that night. That was insane. Yeah. So the quick rundown before we dive into it is the Walleye win this one 5-2. 5-2. Toledo scores the first of this game. Conlon Keenan got his first of the playoffs, assisted by Hawkins and Prapavesis. I hope I say his name right every time. I feel like I'm going to screw it up. Kalamazoo did come back right away, though, and score 2 more in the first there to actually end the first with a 2-1 lead, which was weird. We didn't really know how to feel about it, but I think we knew when the boys came out in the second that it was going to be a different game, and sure as shit it was, because Lewandowski, 3 minutes into this, gets his first of the playoffs with Bliss and Hawkins assisting. And then it was the Sam Cragg show in the third period where he gets himself a natural hat trick, including an empty netter there, which I don't think I've ever seen a playoff hattie in person until that happened. So that was cool.
Natural hat trick too.
Yeah, right. You don't.
On 3 straight
something
shots.
That happens. It was 3 straight shots.
I'm pretty sure I heard that, and I believe I read it that he had 3 straight shots and scored on all 3 of them.
Oh my God. He had 7 shots on goal in the game, so I'm not surprised that he was finding the back of the net. Absolutely insane. But yeah, man, Toledo wins this one, outshoots Kalamazoo 53-24. And at this point in the series, had like outshot them 90-something to 30. And in the third period, it outshot them like 30-1 or 2. Just absolutely insane. Everybody was buzzing that night. Bednar gets the start in this one, which surprised us. We didn't know if they were going to go Johnny back-to-back or what happened, but that was the right choice. I mean, Bednar looked fantastic. He was very settled in, tracking the puck well, stopped 22 of 24. And at the opposite end, Lemieux gets the start in this one. He gets peppered, absolutely peppered, stops 48 of 52. And that's all she wrote, man. Toledo walks out of this one with a 2-0 series lead, and all the boys played good. Like, I would try to focus in on a couple guys here, but they all played good. Like we said, Craig's that natural hattie, 7 shots on goal, +3 on the ice. Hawkins, 8 shots on goal in this game, gets 3 assists and a +2. God, Centazzo had 5 shots on goal. Gabriel had 4 shots on goal. Like, the boys were just firing it.
Yeah, and I give Lemieux credit. Like, he stood in there and he gave Kalamazoo a chance to win and going into the third period, but Toledo just thought it was domination, honestly. Like, it was in your first playoff experience too. Like, it was insane when Cragg scored the 4th goal. Like, I think it was absolutely insane in there.
That was the one that you could finally see Lemieux break a little bit. Like, he sat on his knees in the crease there for a good 30-40 seconds after that puck went in. Just didn't really know what to think. And you could tell that one kind of rattled them. And yeah, like you said, when they came out in the second, they outshot Kalamazoo 23-7 in the second period alone. And then 16-4 in the third. Like, they were buzzing. As soon as they came out, they were like, yep, we're winning this game. We're taking over complete control. And that's exactly what they did. And that's without guys in the game. Like, Riley Sawchuk had no points that night. Right. Doucette, no points. And they still produced a 5-2 win.
Right. It was just a great game. I mean, they played really well. I mean, again, despite going down by just a goal in this one, but you could just feel it. I think you could probably feel it. I mean, it's just like there was this feeling of, we're not losing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And what I was glad to see in this, we didn't really touch on it for game 1, but game 1, it seemed like Toledo couldn't buy a penalty. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Like, I understand it's playoffs and a lot of things get let go, but they were getting called for the softer stuff. Everyone else just getting away with whatever. This game, it was definitely more balanced. There's still, of course, stuff that each team got away with, but I liked that it was finally balanced when, even though Toledo didn't convert on the power play, at least giving them the opportunity, they finally were able to establish some zone presence, some dominance, and really limit Kalamazoo. So I liked seeing that at least the game was called evenly finally.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about your first playoff game in a little depth at all? Like your full experience or anything you got for the fans, or, I mean, is your first trip down here for a playoff game, and, words can't really describe the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's very hard to describe. Well, first of all, we mentioned it in the last episode that I had a streak going. It was a really scary streak for Toledo fans for me to show up to this arena, is that I had never seen the Walleye win in person. And I've been to about 6 or 7 Walleye games total, mostly in Kalamazoo when they're up here. So I'd never seen them win. I've seen some overtime losses. I've seen that. Never once seen a win. For this to be the one that breaks that streak and continue their streak was just a sigh of relief for me, first of all. Second of all, the experience in the arena, there's nothing like it. If you need any convincing to go take that 2-hour drive if you live in Grand Rapids or anywhere even closer to Toledo and you've never been, get in the car and go. It's a $20 ticket. It's so worth it. Like we said, it just feels like one big family in there. Everybody's excited. Everybody's having a good time. The chants are golden. Everybody just gets so into it. And again, hearing the Hit Somebody in the anthem is so much different when you get to be a part of it. Because the first time it scared the shit out of me. Second time, it's just electric. Like you just feel ready and you want to run through a wall. That's the best way to describe being in that barn with everyone there. So
the funniest part of that is they started singing it and you're like, when did they do it? And I was like, you'll know.
Yeah, you were right too. You're right. I'm trying to catch on here. And it's electric. It's worth every second. Not just being a Walleye fan. If you're just a fan of hockey and you don't care about either of these two teams in the playoffs, still just go. You'll be obsessed with the Walleye after you walk out of that building. Second, it's just a fun environment, and minor league hockey in the playoffs can get a little rowdy, and it's not like that in Toledo. Like everyone, there was K-Wings jerseys all over that arena, and I saw no conflicts, no arguing, no screaming at each other. Like everyone's welcome there, and they just all want to have a good time. And boy, did we have a good time.
Yeah. And you know what else is funny too? I forget where we were at, if we were at Dirty Bird or if we were at Downtown Johnny's, but Kelsey even said to you, like, what are you doing here? You're going to jinx it. Because you told her you had seen them win in person, and she was like freaking out.
I knew I'd break the curse if I decided to make the drive, even though I had to do it solo all the way there and back. Like I knew the curse would be lifted at that point. And sure as shit, I've seen them win twice now. So
yeah, everybody that I talked to loved to meet you too. They were glad that you made the trip and had a great time.
I appreciated every single person I met in that building. I'm not gonna lie. I even texted or talked to my girlfriend about this in the morning. It was hard to leave Toledo that night. It was. I felt more at home there than I felt in a hockey sense and almost a city sense in quite a while. So it was special. You guys, again, thank you again for everything. I can't wait to come back.
We gotta get Nick down here now for a playoff game.
Yeah, round 2. Hopefully that's when this is gonna happen here.
Yeah.
But with that, before we jump into Game 3, we got to send it over to DraftKings, meet our sponsor obligations there. So we'll send it over there, and Nick's still going to read the ad, even though he's not here. So Nick, read the ad.
The chase for the Stanley Cup is on, and if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. From the start of playoff beards all the way to hoisting of the cup, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. Unfortunately, the Wings didn't make the playoffs, so I'll be betting on the Dallas Stars at a plus 1,200 to win the cup. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help it for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Will Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. cdkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
And we are back. All right, Game 3, the first one on the road for the Walleye in the series in Kalamazoo on a Wednesday. And boy, you could tell it was a Wednesday because that arena was barely full. Only 2,400 people. And I get it. It's Kalamazoo on a Wednesday. It's a very much blue collar town. It's going to be hard to get out in a game like that. But I will say quite a few Walleye fans still even showed up. I was not alone in a Walleye jersey in that arena, thank God, because sometimes it feels really weird when you're the only one.
Even though your text said, "Boys, I'm surrounded."
No, I was surrounded by K-Wings fans.
I know. That's what I mean. Like,
oh yeah, no, it was to the left, to the right, front, and back, just completely surrounded. And all the credit in the world to them. They were all very nice people. We had great conversations. So if you're listening after us talking about the podcast while I was there, thank you. That was a lot of fun. We had a good time, even chants back and forth. Like we had a good time. Yeah, man. Quick rundown of this game. Walleye win this one 6-2. So now we've seen a 3-2 win, a 5-2 win, and a 6-2 win in this series so far. Started off.
That's gonna bring back the "We Want 10" chant, but they're not gonna be at home for Game 4.
Oh, we'll bring it. Don't worry. We'll bring it tomorrow in Kalamazoo. Don't worry. Yeah, this game started off, and I got nervous. About 4 minutes in, Kalamazoo gets the first goal of the game, and then 5 minutes 22 seconds in, they get the second. Boom, boom. They've got a 2-0 lead early at home. I'm like, uh-oh, I might be in for a really rough night where I'm sitting right now. But luckily, Sam Craggs picked up right where he left off on Saturday, and not even 12 seconds later, I believe, gets his fourth of the playoffs from Gilmore and McCourt. And then like a minute later, Gabriel gets his first of the playoffs from Sawchuk and Prepavessis. So boom, right there, tied 2-2, all within 6 minutes and 48 seconds of this hockey game.
Yeah, I was starting to think this was going to be one of them nights where it doesn't matter who's in net, the puck's going in the net. And it just was going to be one of them like 7-6-8-7 games.
At that point in time, there was 4 goals scored total. There was 5 shots on goal total.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. And it's just like, you know, we had Johnny in that, and it's like, oh no. And
I panicked instantly. I'm like, he's not seeing the puck well, because love Johnny. If he has off nights, they're off nights. If he's not seeing the puck well, it's usually an off night. It's rare that we see him settle in after that and bounce right back. And those 2 quick goals from the Walleye definitely got him resettled in. And I mean, at that point in his mind, I think he just went back to the score 0-0. I've got a job to do. Here we go. And he played fantastic through the rest of the night. So after that, even though that was all in the first period there was still one more goal. Jacob Graves gets his first of the playoffs. And I texted you. I was like, holy smokes, that goal. Because he was at the point right in front of me, and he's calling for it. I see him raise his stick about 6 times. He's calling for it. No one sees him. Shakes his head. I don't remember who it was. I think it was McCourt was down deep. No, sorry. Cruz was down deep. Passes it up to McCourt, but then switches positions with Graves. And Graves, just with all his speed, skates right into the slot, receives that puck, and buries it. Like, I was like, where did that come from? I didn't know he had that. I didn't know he was about that.
Last couple games, defenseman in front of the net, right? Who sees that coming? I mean, it's like...
Not me.
Me either. It's like, what I seen who scored it, and I was like, what's he doing in front of the net? Like, why is he there?
He just charged down the wall and came around behind everybody. Nobody had a clue he was there. They completely lost track of him when him and Cruz switched spots. So that was crazy. And I mean, come out of the first period where Kalamazoo took a 2-0 lead, and the Walleye have a 3-2 lead at the end of the first. I couldn't believe what I was watching at that point. And they weren't done, because Riley Sawchuk in the second period gets his third of the playoffs from Prepavessis and Cruz on the power play. It
was a beautiful
play. Dude, the passing was just so crisp, like bang, bang. Everything about it was perfect. And then it got even crazier on the next play, on the next goal, because Brandon Hawkins gets his second of the playoffs for Lewandowski and Bliss. And there was a broken stick literally in Hawk's feet as he receives this pass and wires it past Borva.
That was a missile.
An absolute missile. Like, I think there was smoke on the back of that puck. Like, there had to be.
Yeah, that was like, it was in and out so fast. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And my favorite part of the whole thing was Kalamazoo fans started chirping him for being the MVP. Like, I could hear every time he missed a pass, they were just going at him about him being MVP and doing stuff like that. And then he does that and just sits in the circle and just like, what? What? And I'm like,
Keep
oh
talking.
my God. Oh, they fed him. He was on in that game. He was so in the zone. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
That wasn't it for the scoring though, because there was an empty net goal. Trenton Bliss gets his first of the playoffs from Lewandowski and Hawk. So another multiple point night for Hawkins. A good night for Lewandowski on the assist category as well. And again, the Walleye walk away with a 6-2 win, outshooting Kalamazoo 36-31. Johnny stops 29 of 31. Vorva stops 30 of 35. I mean, again, in just another game, Hawkins 7 shots on goal. Again. Sawchuk 5 shots on goal. Again. McCourt 4 shots on goal. Again. Like, I feel like I'm going to be saying this all playoffs long. This is crazy.
Yeah. It's insane. And you just said he has, 29 shots through 3 games? Is that what you just said?
Yes, through 3 games in the playoffs so far, Brandon Hawkins has 29 shots on goal, and Riley Sawchuk has 14, Craggs with 11, and McCourt has 10.
And Hawkins has, would you say in the break, 7 points in 3
7 points in 3 games. That's 2 goals and 5 assists. He's a nice, comfortable +6. His points per game is a 2.33.
Maybe people will finally see why we call him the human cheat code, if they haven't already.
It's safe to say don't chirp him about being an MVP because he's going to make you pay for it.
It's like the Michael Jordan, and I took that personally.
100%. That's the first thing I thought of when it happened. I was like, oh, okay.
You're in for a long night now.
Oh, dude, they were too. Like, the fans around me, like, they were so hype at first, and then everything happened so fast. And then at the end, they were just like, we don't get it. Like, they're like, we're just not even in the same league as them tonight. And I was like, tonight?
Did you watch the last 2 games?
Yeah. And then
really,
I reminded the guy next to me that they had 50 shots on goal against them on Saturday. He's like, I missed that game. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was like sitting there thinking, I was like, really, they've only had 2 good periods against us so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you want to draw up when you think about going to these playoffs. When you struggled against this team in the regular season, draw up the right plays and make the creative moves that they have. And like Hawk said in the interview, if they can play to their identity, they're going to be pretty much untouchable. And when they play to their identity, which is fast-paced, good passing, and just shooting the puck,
and cycle,
like, look what happens.
And they get the cycle going. It's that speed and skill. It's just a mismatch for sure.
Yeah, it's insane. I will say in this one, the officiating was a little bit one-sided in Toledo's favor on the road, which was actually pretty crazy. I saw a lot of stuff they got away with in that game, and I was not complaining at all. But again, a lot of stuff on both sides. When a captain of a team could sit there after the whistle and knock off 2 players' helmets just for fun and not get called for anything, you could kind of see how that game was going.
Yeah, that was something. And then he was giving it to Sawchuk, and Sawchuk was just kind of like, man, look at the scoreboard.
Which is exactly what we needed to see, because we knew this Kalamazoo team. We saw it Saturday even. They were going to come out and they're going to try to get them riled up and get them sucked into their game, which happened all the time in the regular season. They'd get all flustered and get all aggravated, and that's how they'd lose the game. And all 3 games so far, it's been, oh, well, you knocked my helmet off. I don't care. I'm just going to skate away now. Thanks. Yeah. And you can tell it's pissing off Redicop. Like, he's not used to not having people feed into his game.
And hey, let them be the team that takes the penalties, because eventually you're going to make them pay. And they scored once on the power play tonight, so they made them pay.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the way this Walleye team is clicking right now is not like something I've seen before. This is, I would dare say they're clicking more as a group more than last year.
Well, I mean, with this win, they are now only 1 win from last year's win streak.
With the regular season and playoffs combined?
They're at 17 straight wins, people. This is crazy.
And what was it, 29 sellouts in a row as well at the Huntington Center? Their 300th sellout on Saturday?
Yep, 29 straight, 300th overall. They're
the
how
many people make the trip.
Toledo right now.
They might be the hottest ticket in Ohio.
That's very possible.
Like, the Blue Jackets are out. Baseball is... everyone shows up to the Reds home opener, and that's about it.
It's crazy. It's unbelievable. The vibes downtown are just so like high, and when the vibes are high, that building's going, and it's just an experience. And I'm glad you got to see it. I was so glad you were come down, and it even worked out that there was a seat next to us. Like it was just it was a literal match made in heaven.
That made the game so much better right there, guaranteed. And you're right. The vibes through downtown Toledo, it's again, I love Grand Rapids. I love the Griffins. Grand Rapids is a little bigger. There's a lot more going on down here. But when you're walking through downtown Toledo, it's pretty hard not to turn your head and see a Walleye logo somewhere. Not even next to the arena. They're everywhere. Like everyone's fully in for this team, and it's just good to see. And hopefully the more we grow, we can continue to grow that environment here in Grand Rapids. That's the goal. That's the reason. Hell, that's the reason Nick and I started this whole thing to begin with, is just to get more fans into it and grow that community. And hopefully we're doing something with that. We'll figure it out one of these days. Nick wants to buy red and black skin suits, or the morph suits like the Toledo guys wear, the blue and yellow ones. And I am not about that life. Sorry, folks.
You need to be like the green men in Vancouver and sit next to the penalty box.
Dude, I'm not creative enough to do what those guys do. I wish.
And it's crazy because last year they started off so hot in the playoffs, and this year they're starting off so hot in the playoffs. So it makes it so exciting, right? Like you almost feel a part of the team when you're a part of this fan base, and it's just like yeah, is it Friday? Like, is it Friday? Is it game day yet? And like somebody put in the Toledo Facebook group on Tuesday, what time's the game? And I'm like, we got 24 hours yet. It's tomorrow. Everybody, I know you're excited. We got to temper our excitement a little bit here.
Yeah, it like when you say it feels like being a part of the team. When Hawk said in the interview, when we asked him what he wanted to say to the fans, he said, "We need you." The boys feed off that. You could tell even in Kalamazoo, like when we all got going and we were dwarfing Kalamazoo fans' noise with chants and everything in that arena, like the boys fed off of it. They were acknowledging it. They could see it. Like I remember saying something. I don't remember what the chirp was exactly, but it was at Redicop, and Craigs looked right at me and was just like, yeah. I was like, yep, all right. They can hear that stuff. So get loud when you're at the games, man. Be loud, be proud. It's true. They feed off of it.
And you're gonna be with all the fish fans tomorrow. You'll be with all the walleye.
I'm so excited. I love sitting with the walleye fans. It happened accidentally once in Kalamazoo, and that's the only place I want to sit from now on. So it'll be a good time. If you all see me there, say hello. I'll be there, and I'll always be loud and proud. I was disappointed, and maybe you got to correct me on this. Maybe it's not something you guys do when you're in an away barn. I was the only hit somebody in that building last night.
I think it's an at-home thing, but
I don't care. I brought it to Kalamazoo.
I haven't gone to enough away games to do that. Like I know last year when I was in Cincy for the first round, I think it was. We didn't say it, but like Kels would always like lean behind me and go hit somebody, and I was just like. Just sit there and laugh. But I mean, if they do take care of business, it looks like they're going to get Wheeling. So
be interesting with scheduling.
Yeah,
Wheeling's been through a lot.
Hopefully the river doesn't flood, or hopefully it does, and we get 7 at home like it was supposed to be in the first round potentially.
God, I couldn't have imagined 7 in a row in the playoffs in that barn. Oh my God!
Listen, my bank account was kind of glad we didn't play Wheeling and that happened.
Yeah. Trust me, mine's screaming at me for all the playoff hockey we've been at, and there's still plenty more to come.
I'll probably go down there for that. My dad's got a cottage about, I don't know, like an hour or so away from Wheeling, so I'll probably go down for a game in Wheeling if I can make that happen.
I will say, if God forbid that Walleye don't close it out in Kalamazoo tomorrow, I am trying my hardest to convince Nick to come down on Saturday. For game 5.
Tickets available?
Yeah, there is still. I looked.
That's crazy. I can't believe it's not sold out yet.
I don't.
Or just buy them.
Or
just buy them, and then they're vouchers for next year.
That's true.
I think that's how that works.
Yeah, I might have to look at that. I don't know. I feel like if I buy them, like it's me saying that they're not going to win. Like I just can't break. Yeah, I can't break the habits right now. I'm in full superstition mode.
Yeah, and it might just transfer to whatever the next home game is for the playoffs too.
mean, that could work too, depending on my schedule. But
you got Grand Rapids coming up. Don't forget.
I know we do have the Griffins coming up here.
The Griffins in the playoffs, man. You can't.
Don't worry.
Remember.
I'm not going to forget that. I am very excited for that. Seeing the fact that Grand Rapids is going to do a pig roast during game one, just finding the little digs in there. I love it. That's not stuff we usually do. We don't do fun things like that here. So seeing them finally, we got watch parties downtown for game one. Like this is different this year, which gets me excited.
You guys should be excited. You've waited a long time for it, and I'm excited for you guys. I'll be watching from here, so I'm excited just to see how the kids do, right? With all the prospects up there, I'm excited for them. I'm really glad that, Watson turned the ship around up there and got them going in the right direction. So I think Waddy will have them guys ready to play.
I think so too. I know these practices this week have probably been focused on a lot of the problems that we saw near the end of the season. So I'm excited for that. But I am still more excited at the moment for tomorrow's game in Kalamazoo. So what's your prediction for what we're going to see tomorrow night in Kalamazoo?
I think they're going to close them out. I really do. Obviously, it's the hardest thing to do in sports is end a team season, right? Kalamazoo's going to come out with some push. I think if they can weather the first 10 minutes or so, unless you get anything like Wednesday, which I hope for our sake doesn't happen with craziness. You want it to be a little more straightforward as to what's going on. I think players and coaches probably want it that way as well, because them crazy games can get out of control. But I think they'll probably wrap her up tomorrow and come home to the second round series, probably with Wheeling, but that's my prediction.
Yeah. I'm going to follow your prediction on that as well. I do think they close it out. I think we see Bednar get the start in this one.
I would agree. I don't think that rotation's changing. I don't think it's. No. I think it's going to be.
It made sense with the games back to back. This is the first two games that they have a day between, so I don't know if that changes anything. But at the same time, I think Bedsy's the right call on Friday. I like that one. I'm assuming we'll see Vorva again with Kalamazoo's goalie situation, as they had to send one of them up to Abbotsford. So Lemieux and Abbotsford, after Thatcher Demko got hurt for Vancouver, so Abbotsford had to send a goalie there. And they've got a kid from Michigan Tech who just wrapped up the season. And I'm not going to say, he's not good or not, because Michigan Tech's kind of a powerhouse in college. So I don't want to experience his first pro game and have it be this lights out performance. Like, let's not. Let's just get it over with. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll ride Vorva for the rest of the way, which hopefully is tomorrow, and that's it. So
yeah, I mean, as they should. Vorva's an incredibly talented goaltender. Like,
he's been really good against Toledo this year too, but it seems like they've found.
He's been really good against a lot of teams. Remember, that's one thing we noticed that was the biggest thing in their full season results is goaltending really held them into the playoff spot they're in now. Yeah. And he had a major part in that, playing the majority of the games. So I don't like playing against him, but I like when we win against him.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a very determined Walleye team to get this taken care of and get some rest.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a very aggressive Kalamazoo team and a determined Toledo team come together. And I could see Graves' role being very important tomorrow night.
I could see that.
Put it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Outside of that, though, man, that's it for this Toledo episode. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I really don't. I'm excited for tomorrow night. Hopefully they close her out, and we'll see you guys in the second round. Really don't want to have a game 5, but we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, me driving doesn't want to have that either. So let's wrap it up tomorrow, please.
Yeah.
So let's just do that. You know what's funny, as I realize now too, is with tomorrow's game, I'll have gone to more Toledo playoff games this season than you so far.
Isn't that something? That's crazy to think about.
How life works sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the geography helped you out there.
It really did. It really did. I'm very thankful.
My boss asked me today, he goes, "Did you go to the game last night?" I was like, "Are you serious? I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning." No. I was like, I got home at midnight, 1 o'clock, have about 4 hours of sleep. Not doing that. Sorry.
That doesn't stop some people. But
yeah, there's some real committed fans. Listen, I'm a committed fan. I love the team, but 10-hour days on 4 hours less of sleep, that'd be a long day.
So we'll see you tomorrow, right?
I do not work tomorrow, but my dad's coming up, so I'm going to spend the day with him.
That's fair. All right. Well, with that, we will wrap this one up. Thank you to everyone for tuning into this little playoff Toledo episode here. Again, boys got game 4 tomorrow in Kalamazoo. Puck drops at 7. I will be there. Nick will unfortunately not be with me, but if you see me, say hello, come chat. I'd love to talk hockey with you. It doesn't have to just be walleye. We can talk everything, but I'd like to talk walleye too. And so, yeah, we'll wrap up this episode here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Shout out to our sponsors, Everything Hockey. Go to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST. Save 10% off your order. Pick up some sweet hockey hoodies and t-shirts for the playoff season. And shout out to DraftKings, our other sponsor. Make sure you're using code THPN when you're betting with them. Shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network for being great partners. Shout out to you, Travis, for jumping on last minute, knocking this out with me. Everybody, have a fantastic weekend. Go Griffins. Go Walleye. We'll talk to y'all on Monday.
Yeah, let's go Walleye. Let's hopefully close her out tomorrow. Thanks everybody for listening.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.